All right, friends, let's have another video. As I've posted and you've seen in some of my other videos, I used to look up feet and tickling pornography. But this is where the closer you get to God, the more you become aware of God gives you more and more revelation. When we look at tickling, it's inappropriate, at least outside of a spouse and outside of spouses and maybe family members, it's really inappropriate. And I got that revelation one day. I had gotten the victory over tickling pornography, but then I began to look back at I began to think back to some of those videos that I used to watch. And then God gave me the revelation, wait a minute, this is inappropriate. At the very least, if not sin, right? A woman is restrained so others can tickle her, and you're going to say that's of God? Look at it. Does that look natural? She's restrained, she can't go anywhere, so others can come along and tickle her. Does that look like that's natural? No. And this goes back to, like, with my book, Victory Over Pornography. Victory It Can Be Done, a Christian's Guide for Victory Over Pornography. We have to talk about sin. I talked about this in my first book, The Irrefutable Evidence for God. Sin is the corruption of God's creation. Someone will say, if God knew people would sin like that in that manner, why would he create something like that? But you're looking at it wrongly. Sin is the corruption of what God has created. Anything that God creates can be corrupted in a very horrific manner, because that's what sin is. It's a deviation away from God's perfect will. And so just like with masturbation, that doesn't hurt anybody, that's with one person. Yet, God says not to do it. And I go into reasons why in my book. And I think that you would be very blessed by that, friends. But back to this tickling thing. Maybe between two spouses. Outside of that, look at it, it's very unnatural. You have a woman who cannot move at all, who is restrained, and or whatever the case may be, and being tickled. That's not natural. Any activity in which you have to restrain the other person in order to carry it out clearly is not natural. God did not design our nerves with tickling in mind. He did not say, oh, let me make people ticklish. That's not of God. People do it. You can do it. You can tickle, just like you can masturbate. That's not God's original purpose for those activities. You can masturbate, right? That's not of God. Just because you can do it doesn't make it right. And so when I realized that, it helped me even more get the victory in getting the victory in terms of avoiding the temptation to look up tickling videos. Because see, before, I thought, well, this is a harmless activity, and this is so hard to overcome because it's so harmless, it's not a sin, and it's free to do. It's like free, it would be like, well, we know now, free sin, or free inappropriateness, whatever you'd like to call it. But when you get the revelation that, this isn't as dirty as the other pornography. No, it is pornography. It is just as dirty because it's inappropriate. And so those, clearly, I maybe at some point I'll get into specifically what type of tickling videos I was looking up. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I doubt I will even name specific videos defending, because I don't want to give it glory. I don't want people to go to those videos, but it's unnatural. Clearly, for a tickling video, in order to tickle somebody, you have to restrain them in some manner to carry it out. So that's not some revelation. The majority of the videos that I've seen have the person immobilized in some manner, because you have to in order to tickle them. But we've talked about how those videos are fake. So, so let's keep that in mind, and let's get the victory over tickling pornography. Let's get the victory over feet pornography. Pornography is pornography. It doesn't matter. Every body part, every human physiological function has been idolized and been sought after. There is no new thing under the sun. In other words, there is no new sin, and I put this in my book, there is no new sin that someone can conceive of that has not already been done. I saw that they have ear pornography. They have, I'm sure they have nose pornography. They have not just regular human physiological functions, but irregular human physiological functions. I'm sure not just toes have been lusted after. I'm sure toe fungus has been lusted after. I can guarantee it, because we're dealing with, and we'll deal with this in the future as well, that everything God has created has a spectrum. Nothing is black and white. Nothing is on-off. If you have an on-off switch and you have action potentials that are all or none, that means you need a certain level of stimulus to make it happen, and it will happen at a certain intensity when it happens. But with God, that is not the case. With everything, whether it's lust, whether it's colors, everything has a spectrum. Think about the color spectrum. It's not a way where it's on or off, right? You don't go straight from, and I'm not even sure, red to whichever color comes next, blue or whatever color, I'm not sure, right? It blends. There's a certain hue of red. It goes, and then it eventually blends into blue. Same thing with lust. There are all different types of lusts and all different types of levels of lust. It's not white and black. It's not like an on-off switch. So we'll talk about that. But let's get the victory, friends.